Hey man, how you going?
I'm alright, and you?
Yeah, good stuff. Good. Doing well. Just chilling back here in Holland.
Oh, I love the Netherlands, man. So
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
likewise. I'm not a native myself. I'm from Australia, but been here for 2 years.
very cool.
Yeah. And I was hoping to talk about some squatting laws if possible.
Please, man, I'll give you the floor. Let me just add another screenshot for you. Cool. It's just you on the screen. Go ahead and talk away.
Um, well, here in Holland, up until October last year, it was legal to squat buildings and live in them if they had been empty for a year or longer. And it was a system that was working completely well within the more sort of 9 to 5 people of society, and for the squatters as well. It was a completely, step forward in social structure of society, I thought. But last year on October 1st, they changed the laws and made it forbidden to squat. And that's not to say that it goes on, it doesn't go on anymore, because it still does, but it's a lot more difficult to do so. And so coming up on the 1st of October is some protests and demonstrations in Amsterdam to as a kind of 1 year sort of, yeah, anniversary, if you will, about the squatting law. And I'm not sure if you're up to date or aware of Dutch government at all, but there's a politician who's pushing for power called Geert Wilders, and he's basically a reincarnation of Hitler, as the Dutch people see it. He's a complete right-wing racist fanatic. You were just talking before about racism,
Right.
and yeah, just lots of little things are happening here in Holland, which is turning a general, liberal country into a not a fascist state. It's not as bad as other places, but it's becoming worse and worse as time goes on. And I was just wondering if you had any sort of knowledge about this topic or whatever, because I'm living in a squat at the moment.
Uh,
It's it works well here, but there are other squats around me getting shut down like every day and stuff, and it's coming pretty bad.
yeah, that's all over Europe. You know, they're changing the laws on squatting.
Yeah, but a funny thing that happened straight after they changed the law here in Holland, the police started evicting squats without reason,
Hmm.
and a case went to European Union Court where the Dutch government actually lost, and they had to pay the squatters X amount of money or whatever because they were kicked out of a living space for no reason. And things like that happen quite commonly at the moment, and it's yeah, I believe squatting is such a useful thing, especially in today's society with housing shortages and stuff. But
And
yeah, I
also,
don't know, man.
it's such
There's
a
some
it's such a weird fine line too, because especially with the real estate and commercial bubbles the way they are, so many people bought houses just thinking they would flip them as the prices went up on these loans. You know,
yeah,
all
sure.
over the world. I mean, in the West, it was like everywhere. You know, and
And
it's a
when I
shame that
was
people don't have a place to live, especially when there's so many places that are empty. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, man, it's not really a logic thing when I had it in my head to think about some of the, I got friends in jail and stuff now because they were just trying to make use of an empty building. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And
Well,
I
there's
don't
always
understand.
it's really strong in America, this sentiment uh, that I'm going to articulate. Like in America, I'm in Berlin, but in America, any kind of thing that even hints towards a socialist, a little leaning towards a liberal socialist mentality, they're like, well, we can't have people just getting away with for free. If somebody's squatting, then I pay my mortgage. That's not fair. Why do those hippies get to live in this? place or something, right? Any,
Yeah.
but what we're seeing everywhere, with the austerity thing is like not only are people being expected to pay for the mistakes of this, these derivatives and this like financial just debacle and these poor decisions on behalf of the people because they keep saying every time the corporations are too big to fail and all this other mumbo jumbo, and then they got to bail out these banks that were doing all this risky stuff. But it's so weird. It's like I don't understand a lot of the logic behind. See,
Yeah.
I was trying to not really argue with somebody, but I've left a comment on YouTube when these guys were arguing about these Occupy Wall Street arguments. I chimed in on one guy who was trying to like shut some people and their idealism down, which I don't have a problem with what people think either way. But I was like, hey man, I'm under the impression that we're only as strong as the weak among us. And the weird thing about it is it never these guys, all these people, they believe the opposite. And none of this billionaire stuff doesn't rub off on you. See? Like
Yes.
all the perks that come with that, it never trickles down and you never see any of it. I mean,
No.
you don't see any of it. The weird thing is that, you're all the weak in the society aren't as strong as the strongest people. See, the opposite is always the only truth there is. So that's why
Yeah.
it's like in our best interest to help people out because it makes our whole society stronger.
But it's to me it's even simpler to that. Like I don't understand that there's so many empty buildings that could be used but just aren't. And
Well,
it's not even a
I just
fact of helping
explained it.
people out.
I
It's,
just
it's, a, it's not about helping people out. It's about allowing people to do something for themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, I just explained it. People think that, when they're trapped in the system, because a lot of these situations are life is what you settle for. So, you take this loan and you get a house and you pay off this loan. You're working and you can't leave your dead end job because that's just your reality, right?
yeah,
So, that type of mentality says that there's no way in hell that you should be able to just live in some abandoned building or underused place and just get a free ride from society is what they're saying. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's
They're,
true.
they're saying you have to be as fucked as they are. And even if they have no stake in the system other than being a debt slave, they still, there's like, that's what this nationalism, this jingoism is all about. Is like you just want to be on that team, even if it's totally fucked for you. That you'll just keep throwing your life away.
Yeah, and it's yesterday there was a big street rave sort of party that was organized. It was we put it forward to the council as a demonstration, but it was called Party for Freedom, and it was organized by the squatting community, and it happens once every few years that we get like a motorcade through the street and people dancing and whatever, and you see the look on the people's faces who are walking in and out of shopping malls and stuff, or you know whatever, just bypasses on the street, and there's such a division between the people outside of the parade that I was kind of puzzled as to. Of course, it must have looked strange, but why is it so strange that there is a group of people who aren't as concerned about money and things you said, like the hustle and bustle of life? You know what I mean? It's
Well,
this. It's really
even back in the 50s or the like 1960, Alan Watts, that sort of Zen philosopher guy, he gave whole speeches and lectures on this, but about the non-joiners. I'll dig one up while we're talking right now, and I'll play this right afterwards because this is going to be some good stuff. But the basic idea is like people like you and I, we buy when we get a pair of Levi's or something, right? That we tend to dress clothes that last us, that are comfortable. We get some cotton clothes that don't need much maintenance, So the shop on the street begins to feel a little bit left out because maybe, you know, We're not buying that, and we don't mind washing dishes ourselves if we got it, and we don't need the dishwasher. So the whole thing starts to fall apart. And maybe we like an old car. One of our friends gets one. You know what I mean? It's like the whole thing starts to unravel by,
Just
but
living a less disposable life.
we're basically non-joiners to a certain
Yeah.
extent. Now, of course, I'm using all this technology, and that's my bread and butter too. But I'm 100% this way. My whole life, I get even with my guitars and stuff. I feel like every day that I don't want to use something, I always feel like I'm the spoiled little punk. That I got all this shit, even though I worked for every single bit of it. You know, so it's like
Yeah.
really really nuts. And I always think that whenever I've got something nice, I always think that like, wow, I'm fucked, but I'm not really. It's just these are my tools. I just happen to use technology too, so I shouldn't beat myself up about it.
No, no. See, technology is you know, civilization should be linear, so we should be progressing in a certain direction, and it's inevitable that technology becomes, more used in everyone's life. And I don't think having a computer or whatever is a materialistic kind of splurge or something. Not in 2011. Not at all. But about guitars, I know what you mean.
Well, let me stop you for a second before we get back into that stuff. Um, you know, like you and I, we live in Europe, right? We
Yeah.
live thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometers. These little lemons fell far from the tree, right? We live so far away from where we came up.
Yeah, that's so
But
true.
it never even occurs to people that that's a possibility in their own life to like get an idea and just go for it. See, that already puts us in this whole different. Now Aussies, because Australia is so spread out, a lot of young people will make a move from their little town to a big city, and then when they might you might want to go. You end up in Melbourne or something because you like the arts or whatever. You like that Sydney's happening or something. But after you get a sense that you can pull that one off, Aussies, because of the distance, tend to travel a lot more than a lot of countries. Like young people, and they'll take a chance and they'll move places. It's in their spirit. In a lot of countries, you don't see that same thing happening. It's not true. But
I've actually noticed that.
Aussies are all over the world. They get out and when they're young, and just because you get used to that idea that okay, there's something else happening, and it's an airplane away or
Well,
something.
yeah, that's the sort of thing. Like growing up in Australia, you're used to driving everywhere and or catching planes if you want to make
Yeah,
things quicker, and it's so fucking big. You know what I mean? So if there was, because no matter, yeah, each place is different in Australia, but it's still Australia. So
but
I would say,
we're kind of like this. We're kind of like modern bohemians, though. But it just doesn't occur to a lot of people that they can, to a certain extent, make their own rules.
well, yeah, I knew as soon as I sort of left school that I needed it to get out and see places. You know what I mean? Like
I know,
figure out what's going on.
man. The minute I could think, by the time I was 6, I was like, I don't want to end up like anybody in my family. I don't like the way that they think. And then you start making friends, and pretty soon it was like, man, I don't want to be like anybody I've ever even known. There's no way in hell I'm gonna fight my whole life not to be like these people. I grew up with
Yeah.
like neo Nazis in the whole 9 yards in Newport Beach. Just it would just like literally like if I had a little if I could like replay some like movie of things that I've heard people say, and they believe and all that stuff, or things that I've seen, it would just like bum you out. It would just make you cry, pretty much. You'd be so sad for people. You know what I mean? That they actually
Probably.
like believe that stuff and all that stuff. So for me, to get away was just like on the one hand, I feel fortunate, but I just never stopped, because I was just like, I cannot deal with people settling for this kind of stuff. And even living in Manhattan, it was just like, for me, it was like, you know, they're always saying, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I was like, I'm going to take them up on that and see if that's true because I'm out of here. You guys are fucking ridiculous. You can't live like this.
And is that when you relocated to Iceland first, or you
Yeah.
came straight to Germany?
Yeah. I
And
went to Iceland and Germany. What I used to do is spend 3 months in different places getting around the, you know, the Schengen Treaty or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
With the visas and whatnot.
but then I just did it. I just got my artist visa because it was ridiculous. Why should I even have to do that even though I was enjoying it? I was like, fuck that. I'm just like, I'm an artist. What am I even, I wasn't breaking any rules, you know.
Yeah, the visa. You're talking about the visa situation, right? How you spend 3 months in each
Yeah.
country in the Schengen area.
Well, you know, in the territories, I believe that there's zones. So, like, Iceland is zone 2. It's a different zone than Germany.
Yeah, it's a completely fucked up thing. I think the visa, because fortunate enough for me, I've got a British passport also because my mother is from England.
There you go.
So I'm sweet. But
Yeah.
I'm living here in this place with my girlfriend also, and she's from Australia, and she's actually currently overstayed her visa.
Not good.
And it's basically restricting her completely because, you know, if you cross the border, particularly in places like the UK, that you can't get into there without, you know, getting harassed, even with a British passport. So I just don't understand, because to me, I see there's no difference between me and her, except the fact that my mother was born in England, which is completely irrelevant. But all doors are open to me and none are open to her just because of a piece of paper, and I don't understand how that works, and I haven't needed to look into it because I do have 2 passports, but it's that's fucked up as well, and it's not as easy to it's basically impossible to renew visas or get a sort of permanent thing happening when you have
there. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't do it now from while you're in there. You have to leave and then apply.
Yeah, exactly.
They're changing all the rules. People aren't even aware how like locked into whatever space they are on the board right now. A lot of stuff that mumbo jumbo you hear about people talking about, like people got to do something because like it's becoming neo-fascist or whatever. They're so late. They're just waking up.
Yeah, but it seems almost as if they're trying to close up the countries. You know what I mean? Like it's with the European Union, it's different nowadays. It's much easier to cross certain areas than it used to.
But they're changing that. See, like they just told Romania and those countries and Bulgaria, no way. There's a border there, even though they're they're in the EU, and then they're talking about putting a wall around Greece again, and then Denmark has already put up the wall. See what I'm talking? See what I'm getting at here?
I just recently got back from Hungary and Romania, and there was no Romania and Hungary are in the EU, but they have different currency.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed into Croatia for some reason or another. Maybe they didn't like the look of our old Mercedes van we were traveling in. But you know, a big old 508 with lots of fucking hippies inside it.
I want a Unimog, man.
Sorry?
I want to get one of those Unimogs.
Oh, they're amazing.
I gotta get one of these days.
They just never stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about it. Low maintenance, and just get something good and take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. It's the only way to travel, man. It's incredible. But yeah, because I wasn't actually sure whether Hungary. I knew Hungary was in the EU, but I wasn't sure whether Romania was, or what the sort of the situation was in terms of the border. And what I found that because we were looking for information on the internet and stuff, you can't really find the answers you're after.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's nothing's really. I don't know, it seems as if they make up the rules day by day.
Yeah, things are changing quick. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to keep you on your toes. Like I promise you that. But
But,
I always there's things I like about the Netherlands. I want to spend more time there, goofing around.
I should come over, man.
I will.
For sure.
I will. We're going to be touring next year, so I'll do that for sure. I have to go to Australia first.
When are you in Australia? Because I'm going back for a holiday in the over the Australian summer.
Yeah, it'll be in the summertime.
Oh, really?
I'll have the dates down. We're probably going to play
Okay, chill.
Darwin this time too, of all places.
Okay, make sure you dress accordingly because you can get really fucking burnt up there, man.
No shit. I had a business meeting today. That's what the whole thing was about. I was just going, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy temperatures up there.
Mhm.
But I noticed when I was living in Australia, it's to get international bands to play. There's not enough good bands. There is plenty of good music played live down there, but it seems as if I'm not sure if it's an expense sort of thing or what. Like as a band, is it more expensive to tour Australia than most other places, or is there another
We're
reason
lucky.
why?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. We're lucky. We pull in 2,500 people a night. So, but you got to imagine, like when we're on the airplane, it's 14 people, and we got like 44 pieces of gear with us. Check in.
True.
They're not happy when we pull up to the special gate.
Any oversized baggage?
No, and
Yeah.
and the way we book it, it's all one way from a international flight, so they can't overcharge us. It's already tagged in the package deal, and they get so bummed because we stick them to that rule.
So you fuck them up with their own rules.
Well, they just don't understand how we're traveling around the world, but it's one direction, so we can get away with it. So they're just like because they look at that and they'd be like like 80,000 in overcharges, and then there's no way they can't charge us anything. It's great.
Well done. But yeah, when you're in Holland, yeah, it's probably won't have time or something. But it'd be amazing to see like maybe a small show in a squad or something. I think that atmosphere would be crazy if that could be hooked up.
Well, I like the milk bag.
Yeah, that is. Have you played Paradiso?
Yeah, I think we played all those places probably.
Okay, yeah. No, it's a great venue. You know, it's real intimate. You don't feel as if you miss anything, no matter sort of where you are in the room, which is great.
Well, I was told you I was going to do something. Let me look up something while we're talking. What else?
Here.
I was going to talk about. I was going to have Alan Watts break it down to us. Let me But while I'm still talking with you, I can do two things at once. I think.
I'm multitasking.
Yeah, I get better and better at it sometimes. There's
Practice
that.
makes perfect, huh?
So I gotta pause this. What else is going on in your neck of the woods? I love living in Germany, man. It's great for me.
Yeah, it's I was in Germany I think 8 months ago, and it's also another tangent I wanted to ask you. There's tons of buildings that I thought were squats in Berlin, but they're not actually squats. Is that right? The people who are living in there, there's some treaty that was signed after the breaking of the wall that keeps these buildings available for people to live in like that. Like, you know, the ones with all the murals painted on it and stuff like that, and things like Tekels or whatever it was that's getting shut down or something.
Yeah, there were riots and stuff on this crazy they shut down the oldest squat.
Is that the art place, right? Tekels or whatever it is.
Well, that one it's working on there. They're working on that stuff too, but yeah, the rules are changing. Okay, I think I found one. This might be the right one. I just have to grab this.
No
Okay,
worries.
cool. I got it now, I think.
But,
Because I'm going to play this Alan Watts on nonconformity.
okay, sure. And that's what you're talking about before, about the lecture in the 50s, right?
Yeah, but he's just breaking it down to why a certain amount of non-joiners are really important in society, but he's breaking it down why other people are pissed off that, you know, you're on the fringe of society, living, we're doing something else. So it's kind of cool because he's telling your grandma would like him. He's charming, you know. But I'm gonna get off the line with you and play this thing.
No worries, man. Thanks for the chat,
Yeah,
Anton.
you got to call in again.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do.
Very cool.
And keep on keeping on.
I will.
Ciao.
Cheers. All right. So here's Alan Watts for a minute while I break down the place. Wait a minute. Oh, we love that song. Nani probably just was like, wow. But we psyched him out, didn't we? Let me find him again. Alan Watt. Okay. Let's see if this works.
People who dropped out of college because they saw it was stupid. And they're that sort of people. We would call them perhaps beatniks. But you see, the city doesn't like it because they aren't owning the right sort of cars, and therefore the local car salesman isn't doing business through them. They don't have lawns, and so nobody can sell them lawnmowers. They hardly use dishwashers, appliances of that kind. They don't need them. And also they wear blue jeans and things like that, and so the local dress shops feel a bit put out having these people around. And they live very simply. Well, you mustn't do that. You've got to live in a complicated way. You've got to have the kind of car, you know, that identifies you as a person of substance and status and all that. So there's a great problem here in our society. Now, why is there this problem? There's always a very inconsiderable minority of these non-joiners or people who check out of the game. But you will find that insecure societies are the most intolerant of those who are non-joiners. They are so unsure of the validity of their game rules that they say everyone must play. Now that's a double bind. You can't say to a person, you must play, because what you're saying is you are required to do something which will be acceptable only if you do it voluntarily. You see? So everyone must play is the rule in the United States. And it's the rule in almost all Republican governments. I mean Republican in the sense of democratic. Because they're very uneasy. Because everybody's responsible. You mean you may try not to be and avoid it and say, oh, let the senators take care of it or the president. But theoretically, everyone's responsible. Now that's terrifying. See, it's all right when you know what's right. There is an aristocracy, there is the clergy, and they know what should be done, and they're used to ruling, you see. But now it's in your hands. You say, well, what are we going to do? Well, I think this way, and you think that way, and he thinks the other way. And so we're all unsettled. And therefore we become more and more conformist. Individualism, rugged individualism, always leads to conformism, because people get scared. And so they herd together, and compounded with industrial society, mass production, etc. They all wear the same clothes, and they're sensible clothes that don't show the dirt too much. And we get duller and drabber, and with the exception of the Californian Revolution. So the reason for this is, in a way, that democracy as we have tried it started out on the wrong foot. You see, in the scriptures, the Christian scriptures, it says everybody is equal in the sight of God. Now that's a mystical utterance. That means that from the standpoint of God, all people are divine and are playing their true function. And that is something that is true on a certain plane of consciousness. But come down a step and try to apply the mystical insight in the practical affairs of everyday life, and what do you get? You get a parody of mysticism. You get the idea not that everybody is equal in the sight of God, but that all people are equally inferior. And that's why all bureaucracies are rude, why the police are rude, and why you're made to wait in lines and are obstreperous income tax individuals and all that sort of person. Because everybody's a crook. Everybody's equally inferior. See, that becomes the parody of democracy. And that kind of society, watch out for it. It turns in a quick click into fascism because of its terror of the outsider. Now, a free and easy society loves outsiders. In fact, it's a little bad for the outsider's integrity because he becomes the holy man, see? And people make salams and give him food and all that. They really take care of the outsider because they know that man is doing for us what we haven't got the guts to do. That outsider who lives up there in the mountain is at the highest peak of human evolution. His consciousness is one with the divine. And great, just there is someone like that around. It makes you feel a little better. He has realized, he knows what it's all about. And so we need a number of those people. Even though they don't join our game, they tell us, you see, what you're doing is only a game. It's okay, I'm not going to condemn you, but it is only a game, and we up on that mountaintop are watching you. We love you, we have compassion for you, and but excuse please, we aren't going to join. So that